Maybe we could begin with you telling me a bit about your band Haven. What's kind of the things that everybody should know about Haven?
So yeah, Haven, we exist since like about 2018, 17. It took us a while to find like a full lineup because we're not like beginning of 20 in our 20s anymore. So everybody has their full life. But once we got together, we pretty quickly kind of started writing songs and found our own kind of way of molding different interests and musical tastes together. That just happened really. It was not planned. It was just like coming together. And now we have like, I think, a pretty good energetic blend of a couple of genres and a couple of influences, because everybody's kind of favorite music is kind of differing in the band a bit. So I think that makes a pretty kind of nice blend of different genres. And we also pay a lot of attention to like aesthetics and visuals and lighting combined with the music. So it's not just going on stage and playing, it's also like some narrative behind it and some aesthetics behind it that need to fit what we are saying and what the music is saying.
Yeah, you touched this already a bit, but how did it all start? What were the starting ideas behind Haven? As you said, the kind of idea crystallized later, but what were kind of the ideas behind the band?
I, for myself, with another friend of mine, had the name already, and then I met Arne, our guitarist, through like the internet actually, with our former bassist Sabrina, and then we just started jamming in the beginning. We were all kind of at that time pretty much influenced by Amun-Ra, and Arne also a lot Neurosis, and I'm coming from like a lot of Tool and A Perfect Circle. So in the beginning, we were just like jamming, kind of saying, okay, we're gonna have a post metal band, but then it quickly developed into something more melodic and something more open to every kind of influence, also electronic influences and everything. So basically, the idea musically was something different in the beginning, and then just like I said, developed naturally into something new. And also, as he joined a bit later, he has some other influences too. And then our second guitarist that joined a bit later, so that kind of molded together. And from a narrative standpoint, from like a lyric standpoint, kind of the name says it already. It's like Haven is supposed to be like a place to, to anchor yourself and to kind of reflect everything that's going around you, for me on a personal space, and also maybe for the others in the band. And that kind of touches then in the lyrics the lyrics touch that like social issues, political issues, philosophical issues, but it's really tied to an every day reflecting, finding your place in the whole narrative of everything around you. So that kind of gives you the place to settle. Haven is the place to settle and then recharge and go out again. So that's basically the kind of the core of the narrative of the band. I hope I explained that right.
Yeah, you mentioned post metal and all the different influences, and how would you describe your sound in your own ways? So, what's kind of the end product of all those influences and different styles?
Well, when I joined the band, I think to me it sounded, and I wasn't aware of this band Amun-Ra before I joined Haven. But when I listened back, because it was a very important band for all my bandmates, and then I realized, oh, well, okay, we sound kind of a lot like them. So I think in the beginning it sounded to me a lot like something, a blend between Amun-Ra and maybe Tool, because of Norman's specific voice, like the way he sings. But now, especially that right now we're finishing the works on our first like full length, and now I listen to we have new songs, and I don't know, it's I guess it is post metal, it's progressive.
Yeah, it's a lot of alternative touches too. We have a bit of hardcore in there, but it got more and more catchy also. Like the newer songs are, because I like to find like vocal melodies that are kind of like a bit of chanty and mantra like, so kind of repeating stuff and finding like catchy stuff. Because I grew up with 80s music, like my mom listened to a lot of 80s music, so I have that ingrained in my brain somehow from my childhood. And I always, both of us especially, we're not opposed to like pop music at all. If it's cool,
No.
like, you know, there we have a favorite like a guilty pleasure band called Churches. They're pretty
Fuck
good.
yeah.
They're pretty good. So those kind of things are into us, and it kind of blends with the metal and the hardcore influences, and being abstract and having longer songs also, which we still do. But I think it's still a lot of catchy parts in there now, and but we just, like I said, it just developed naturally because everybody brought their influences, and then we just felt like, all right, it's not like we were sitting down like we're gonna do this sound. So it just kind of developed naturally, and then now the newer songs are even a bit more in that direction, and let's see what people think
but
about it.
we also recorded our heaviest song so far, and this which is also on the new album. So we have like, it's kind of a bit, maybe it's a bit more catchier, but it's also heavier.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Yeah, it's the most heaviest parts, but then there's also another really catchy part. So we try to it opens even more, like, you know. So
Let's say it's alternative metal, I guess. I don't know.
Somehow, yeah.
It's different. Yeah, I'd say yeah.
Yeah, how do you write and do music as a band, and does the inspiration, as you mentioned, the visual side, does the inspiration come from the same source for the visuals as for the music?
I mean, the music is usually kind of like the guitarist Arne and me. We're usually starting with songs together and doing most of the writing. And usually, like, there are some predetermined ideas that someone of us brings from home, or that you just have in your head, and then we kind of bring it to the room, and everybody can like chime in and like splice in ideas if they want to, and then just like, you know, we start. Like I think every band is doing, like you start like a structure of the song, and then you go back and forth. And this time we paid more attention to actually doing like recording on the first songs were kind of like developing just mainly in the room, like with jamming and everything. And this time we had more focus on recording and then checking back and stuff. So it was a different working process this time that opened up for us some new possibilities to work more efficient in a way, which was good. And the visuals, I mean, the visuals that we have now are like have been filmed by some of the band members for a couple of years, and we just put them together. That kind of fits with the mood. It's not so much narrative driven yet, but I want to do that more in the future. And the inspirations for that is just like, landscapes, nature, kind of things that reflect some aesthetics, you know, towards you. I have some that give you some what I said with what Haven means, that the reflection point or that kind of anchor that you have, and you can maybe walk on a coast, be next to the water, and that kind of gives you that vibe that connects with the music, and so you can film that situation, and we can incorporate it on the visuals. And yeah, there's still room to make that even more driven and more narratively connected to the music, and I want to do that in the future. So yeah, inspiration is just life, I guess, like most of it.
Yeah, the latest song we all can hear is Rue from April. So when you kind of juxtapose that with the, as you mentioned, there's an album at work. So when comparing to Rue, what kind of music are we gonna hear in the upcoming album and music?
I remember Rune is the first single from the record. Like it's gonna be on the record. So like I said, the songs they're a bit more personal from a writing perspective. I can say that from a lyrical side, because the first couple of songs where I was more going for like kind of the broad view on the world kind of thing, and this time I went a bit more introspective, at least from the starting point, and then it kind of turned out to still touch a lot of different, like things that maybe everyone can kind of relate to, but it's still a lot of philosophical, psychological things in there, because that's just my interests. And musically, like you said, we have our heaviest parts in there yet, and we have some of the catchiest parts in there yet. So I think Rue kind of gives you a good example of what the album is gonna sound like, because there's some electronic bits in there, some kind of new sounds that we played with, and that's gonna be also in the other songs. So yeah, it's gonna be catchy, heavy stuff. I don't know how you describe it.
Epic.
Yeah. We hope people will like it. Yeah.
Yeah, how far between are like the extremes of how heavy and how pop it can get? How would you describe it?
I mean, the heaviest song has like it's a lot of there's a blast beats in there and a lot of like heavy black metal stuff, and then we have a quite ambient track on there too, and like our quietest parts yet,
yeah.
or like the most melodic.
Let's not let's not spoil too much. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everybody will decide for themselves, but I think Rue is a pretty good example of like what it's gonna be like. It's
And we're not caring so much about like the whole genre thing and everything. It's just like it just happens as it does with our different influences, and then and it comes pretty naturally at this point, and when we write together. So we're not shying away from being really sensitive with the music or being really fragile, and we also can like make the stuff. It just has to fit what you want to express, right? So, and there's of course you're not just one person with one mood all the time, one emotion. Of course, there's a lot of things, and I think if you can capture that in music, if you touch different moods and different emotions and different subjects, that's just how the music's gonna turn out. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think the most important question is in what stage is the upcoming album at the moment?
All right, so let's be blunt. Let's be blunt.
Should we say percentage, or I don't know?
No, I need to record drums for one more song, the heaviest song. So I need to practice that because I always need to practice. And when this is done, I think maybe there's like a little vocal, a little soundscaping.
Yeah, we have a bit of sound design left. Like I said, the last song needs some recording stuff still.
Yeah.
And then it's sound design, mixing, mastering. So it's not super far off. So yeah, we're aiming a release like in the first half of the next year.
Yeah.
Because like of course then you need to produce a vinyl, everything that kind of takes some time. But yeah, so that's our it's gonna be, we're sure it's gonna be before summer next year. It's gonna be out.
Yeah, still going into the upcoming songs you mentioned, and let's not spoil anything as you said, but as you mentioned, like you were looking more inward this time when writing the lyrics, so maybe you can just maybe shed a little light on the themes of the album.
I mean, the album is going to be called Causes, so it's there's a kind of like a back and forth in that word, because causes of course are what happened to you, like everything that influenced you, but you also causing something with what you're doing with what you have gotten, right? So it's a continuous flow of things, and that's kind of the narrative above everything. And then I just try to find different examples for it in like the outside world, or also inside of my world, right? And especially like Rue, the first song, is the most personal yet for me, because it comes from like the core of the lyrics stem from an experience that I had when I was younger, with another very important person in my life, and I just took that and kind of reflected for myself, because there's stuff, you can't always finish everything with every person. Sometimes you can't finish talking, you can't finish resolving something, because you just can't see that person anymore. So that was the core for that, and then I just open it up usually to kind of touch more other examples than just my own perspective, and that kind of goes into the other songs too. There's themes of like power structure, tradition, conditioning of the mind, right? We see that a lot in the world and in every human. And that kind of where these causes coming, like why are we acting the way are we acting? Where is it stemming from? Why are we thinking the way that we're thinking? And how free is that? How influenced is that by just like your neighbor, your all-day neighbor, right? The people you meet on the street, or just like, of course, how you grew up and how people taught you stuff, right? So I'm kind of questioning all that. I have a lot of questions in the lyrics this time, more so than in the last ones. So yeah, that's kind of the overall arc of what the songs are going to be about.
Yeah, the album is, as said, coming out next year. So, well, how do you see the future of Haven? I mean, how ambitious are you with this project? I mean, what are your hopes and dreams?
I mean, the hopes and dreams kind of maybe you have to. I mean, we're also realistic people, right? We're not doing pop music, so it's. I mean, even if it's kind of catchy, it's still a niche music in a way, even though there are big bands in this genre. But
And let's dream big now.
yeah,
for now,
yeah,
for
yeah.
the sake of this interview.
For a second. So, of course, it would be ideal to reach as many people as possible, and then have tours that kind of you can play everywhere in the world once, maybe, and then just travel and share your music and have people coming up to you that kind of touching people in a way, like inspiring maybe thoughts and just like traveling, having a good time. And because we're also like we're a live band in a way, like it's just it's a different, very important, a different aspect of the band also, because like a couple of us are really like kind of finding another thing in the whole performance thing. So yeah, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, to live from the music is kind of, that's a bit too much maybe, I don't know, but like, yeah, try to travel as much, try to play as much, try to reach as many people, make good music, progress, and yeah, and just tell something, and not make like something senseless, right? Just not just, oh, we're just gonna do some cool riffs or whatever. I would like do something that kind of at least has some sort of spark or impact for at least a few people, hopefully more. I don't know. You got something? I don't know. Making money, traveling the world.
I mean, traveling the world for sure. This is the main reason why I started making music. I also play in different projects as a drummer, so I do this because I really enjoy playing live, and I just enjoy, playing music. With Haven, I would really love. This maybe a very pragmatic goal, but I would love if we could focus more on just creating the music and playing, instead of like organizing, booking, dealing with all the things that happens behind the scenes for like for normal people who are not musicians. So, and to reach this, if we could reach this goal, I would be very happy, because then you can actually really enjoy just playing the music and focusing
Everything
on
is still DIY,
artistic,
so
focusing on the artistic stuff.
Yeah, that would be a good step to take then, and then you have more freedom for everything else, right? Yeah, we'll see. We're working on it.
Yeah, talking about do it yourself. How is Berlin, your hometown, for smaller bands at the moment? What's your point of view?
I think you can say more about that, right? I'm not so much into the.
Well, I think Berlin has a shitload of small bands and artists. Berlin is full of artists and small bands. On the one hand, this is a nice thing because it's diverse. You have many different people being creative. On the other hand, you have more competitors. Kind of as an artist, it's not as easy to stand out as it was maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago. And also you have the problem with venues who are like, especially like smaller or
Culture's closing. Yeah,
small venues are closing, and it's very difficult to find to book live shows as a band in Berlin, because on one hand there are not that many venues, and on the other hand the people in Berlin or Berliners are very spoiled when it comes to entertainment.
And
so
especially after the last couple of years now, like everything gets booked now, and then everyone is kind of catching up, and there's a lot of input, and every band is playing Berlin, a lot of Berlin bands playing here or elsewhere. So everyone, of course, and everything is getting more expensive, right? I mean, not our kind of shows, but if you want to go to some bigger band and you're spending, I don't know, $70, and you're kind of thinking about on the maybe 2 days later going to the small band, even if it's just 10, because you already spent like 70 or something, right? So I think the whole couple of last years with Corona and everything, that influenced a lot, and the inflation now and everything. So we have that. We feel it more. So even because, like I said, everything is DIY, and if you're not yet at that level where people come up to you and like, I want to book you for this and for that, it's sometimes a bit frustrating in a way, because if you're thinking you're doing something good, and if you're doing like a show like that yesterday here, where think like, all right, this is a kind of I don't know, mixed audience also, but every like there you get a good feedback. You're always thinking like, yeah, it works, right? So you just have to get exposure. But to get that exposure, like he said, is difficult. Also in combination with internet age and Spotify and everything, where everything is just like flooded. So yeah.
Yes, it is like it's true what you're saying, but it's also like it's that's the how things are, you know. It's not like I don't want to cry about it or whatever. This is change happens everywhere and every time, and the things you need to adjust. And
yeah,
I think the main thing we would do play the music that we play right now, even if the situation was way different, because it's just it's just what we love to do. And I think in the end, artists or musicians will find a way to find their niche in an ever-changing world. This is just how it always was, I think. But it doesn't get easier, but it's also it also helps.
So it also does, yeah. But you have to put work in. I think you can't just expect it happening overnight. Of course not. I mean, maybe if you're super lucky or whatever, but yeah, no, no, not likely. So especially now with our kind of music, but I think there's potential there. I mean, we are definitely proud of what we do, and we think that it has potential to grow and to reach people and to kind of stand out in a way. And yeah, and we're gonna just keep building blocks. Like him. Yeah, keep the beat going, and then hopefully, and it grows as much as it can. It would be cool.
Yeah, let's keep on the subject, as Wahrschauer magazine loves this subject. So, how easy or hard is it to book gigs in Berlin at the moment? Like you said, like there's thousands of artists or hundreds of bands, and venues are like fading away, I guess, after the pandemic. So how is it at the moment? Because in my own opinion, like a good local band should play like 2 times in their hometown a month. Like I would go to see the same band twice a month if they're good live.
That's a good that's a good feedback.
Well, I think you're right, especially when you're starting out as a band, and you want to get more known locally. It definitely makes sense to play your hometown, especially when it's Berlin, because it's a very big city, to play it more live. But when you start to be like established a little bit, then it makes more sense to space out your shows. It's because because at some point, especially now when you book a show, usually you actually book the venue, so you pay rent for the venue, and you hope that people show up. And if you play with the same band once a month, then people will stop showing up. So it just makes sense to a certain point to do this. So, but booking shows in Berlin, like booking is probably not the problem. The problem is like to make people show up. So there are venues that you can rent, or there are even some venues where you can play for free, especially like how do you say, like left venues, like
squats. Yeah, squats. Left is kind of
like this or like KVU, especially for example. So you can play there for free. They don't charge you anything, but still you want to make sure that people come, and this is the more difficult part, like the marketing to make people aware of the show, and expenses. Covering expenses and stuff.
Yeah. And also depending, then you have like people showing up that are kind of part of the scene here. And then there's quite, I mean, the size of the kind of metal, hardcore, whatever scene is still pretty big, I think, in Berlin in comparison to other cities. But I think for us now, it would be a good step to like, get in touch with bands that are a bit like a level above us, like just from a sense of a point of like, how known they are, and then just get opening gigs for people that kind of, then we can reach new audiences, right? Because we played in Berlin like a lot of times now, so I think in the underground scene, some people already kind of from the scene, they kind of know who we are. So for us, the next step would be in Berlin to get like opening gigs, or also of course touring other cities. That's especially the thing, because we haven't been like to Western Germany yet, for example, and stuff.
Oh, we have.
Western Germany?
Münster.
Oh yeah, well, if you consider the Western, okay, yeah, but like I mean, like, or like I don't know, Netherlands would be cool. Yeah, Netherlands would be cool, or like I don't know, Belgium. We have a few contacts there. France, whatever, other countries. I mean, that's kind of the next step. But we, of course, you have to, like I said, put work in and release good music, which we're gonna do hopefully, and then yeah, see next steps.
All right. For the end, maybe you could say like your own views on the Nox A Carnival hosting us tonight and yesterday, of course, when you played. It's their 10th year of a free festival. So, like, what are your thoughts on?
I think it's amazing. I think it's a super lovely team.
Yeah.
This is a DIY festival with great bands, with great stuff, with great food, with art, and it's for free. It's everything is dirt cheap. Like the drinks are cheap, the food is cheap, especially in these times where everything is like super expensive.
Cheap but good.
yeah, everything is very, very good. I think it's amazing. Like I was very happy, and I talked to different people yesterday who were like in the audience, and everybody was like super amazed by how this is even possible. Like that's such high quality can be done with DIY. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Of course, it was a great show, and one of our, in our feeling, kind of our best shows, just from the energy standpoint, because the people were into it. For every band yesterday, like everyone was up for it, right? Because we had different kind of genres in there. Everyone was open and listened, and the energy was great. And yeah, like we said, like because of like venues closing and stuff, this is like maybe then one of the last things in this kind of nature, right? And you have it established, and I hope it can make its 20th anniversary. All right, let's keep thumbs up, fingers crossed, right? So yeah, so it's great to support this kind of stuff that's still around, because it's disappearing more and more, I think. So yeah, we just it's great to support here, and we get a lot of stuff back and a lot of energy back. So yeah, it was great to be here. And everyone, thanks for helping out and organizing and doing it on their spare time with just passion. It's great.